Another edition of Riding Home. Dean Legge, Matt. Oh gosh, Dylan almost called you Matt DeBerry.
Oh, you kidding? You kidding me? You kidding me with it? You're better than that.
All right, so Georgia is not that far away here from kickoff. I know we talk about that a lot, and another practice for the Dawgs. You watched the defensive lineman today. Give me your quick takeaways.
Well, Jordan Davis is just a huge human being. I mean, when he stands up, first of all, he's got good posture, especially in pads. He stands straight up. I mean, he is all of that 6'6", whatever he's at, 330, 320.
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
know,
lot.
but
Yeah.
I mean, he's big. And I watched mostly the defensive tackles today. And Julian Rochester was in there. He's kind of a little bit of a hybrid guy. They were working on double teams, and I mean, Jordan Davis just gobbles them up. I mean, it doesn't even look like it's an issue for him.
How much do you think him? I mean, Texas really had the ability to run. How much does that game change if Jordan Davis plays in it?
Well, I mean, it forces them to go outside more. That's the thing. That's what Jordan Davis does, and then you got to let guys like Monty Rice.
Well, he didn't. He didn't play.
He didn't play. He didn't
play
play
against
either.
Texas.
But I mean, you get the point. You got to let the middle linebackers and outside linebackers make the plays at that point. And that was the big thing, in 2017, I think it was. John Atkins kind of had played that role. And
yeah, Big John.
He would force guys to run outside, and then you got to deal with Roquan Smith.
Well, I mean, sports is all about matchups, and you want to get the most favorable matchup for you. And if you can get guys running side to side rather than, right at you, then obviously with your cleanup guys like Roquan, or in this case, maybe perhaps this year, Nakobe Dean or Monty Rice or Tay Crowder, I mean, that's why you have a big guy in the middle. That's the one thing Kirby has sort of quietly complained about has been they don't have an elite defensive lineman. They might that could be changing. I mean, I don't know about elite, but you've got in the future now, maybe not this year, but you've got Jordan Davis at least for say 30 more games, and then you've got Trayvon Walker, who guys seem to be talking about quite a bit as well.
Kirby praised him a lot on Saturday. Especially his versatility, because he's a guy who he's listed. I think he was listed coming out of high school as a defensive tackle, but I think Kirby said they've been using him more a little on the outside. And that's probably where he'll be best suited this year, just to get playing time.
Well, in high school, Trayvon played middle linebacker. Yeah, so and tight end too. So he's a guy to watch. I mean, I don't know if he's a guy that. The thing about Georgia is with this season, Dylan, they're going to start slow, and then eventually they'll play Notre Dame in the fourth game of the year. But where they need to be good is middle October on. I mean, the schedule becomes much more complicated with the Aggies coming to town. You got to go to Auburn. You got to deal with the Gators. That's going to be challenging in a way that the beginning of the season might not be.
Yeah, and I mean, the beginning of the season will be slow for sure, but you still want to see certain things. And I think one of the biggest things you want to see is that they're stopping the run.
Yeah,
because I think that was one thing, when they went to Missouri last year. We expect Georgia to be a little slow as the season starts. It's just kind of how it is. But, I mean, when Missouri was running it down their throats, that was kind of like whoa, okay. This isn't just a slow start. This is a bad start, really.
Well, I'm trying to remember it. I would have to look it up and fire up the Dog Post computer to really look at how often in 2017 that they had given up more than 125 yards. It wasn't much, and it was against Alabama and Auburn the first game for sure. They may have given up 100 something to South Carolina, but generally,
Oklahoma too.
Who's that now?
Oklahoma.
Well, yeah, Oklahoma for sure. Yeah, I was just thinking during the regular season. I guess I should broaden my horizons, but they really they just, if you can stop the run, that's what this league is, and that's what it is. Very simple. If you can stop the run, you're in good shape. If you can't, you're in for a long day. Dylan, it's one of the most important parts of football and even sports. If you can stop the other team from scoring, and in this case in football, stop the run, you really have a very good chance to win. And like you said, the Mizzou game last year was one thing. I don't know, though. I mean, Notre Dame, I'm assuming Notre Dame's going to try to run on Georgia. I mean, I don't know why everybody wouldn't try to run. But
I think you kind of have to. I don't think you can win without it.
Yeah, but really. I mean, Vanderbilt has a pretty good running back. And we're going to see, I don't know that he's going to have a great night, but we're going to see, like, if they hold Vanderbilt to under 80 yards rushing the entire night, that will tell you they're on their way. But it gets back to guys like Jordan Davis, and this front seven's not that bad, man. I mean, they've got some good players. I don't know that they have one absolute killer.
No, and they don't have, I guess, outside linebackers, they have a lot of talent, and I don't think anyone's outside, but one thing they do lack there is kind of experience. Nolan Smith is a freshman. Jermaine Johnson hasn't played a snap at Georgia. Aziz Ojulari is a redshirt freshman. Adam Anderson, not many games under their belt. Walter Grant has probably got the most experience and might be like the third best outside linebacker.
When you watch the defensive line, really for anyone, those are some of the most important players in general. What did Cade Mays, though, say tonight? I mean, he's been dealing with those guys. Did he say sometimes they say guys stick out, but even more than that, I mean, did he shed any light into who the top 5 guys on the offensive line are?
No, I don't think so. Along the offensive line, you said?
Yes, on the offensive line.
No. I mean, he just talked about kind of how well they're gelling together. Him along with everyone else, as well as Ben Cleveland with everyone else. I mean, just because, they have those 4 spots solidified, and then they got those 2 rotating in, and he said that they're gelling well together. I mean, especially him and Isaiah Wilson, the friendship there. And he did say that did kind of make it easier because, you're playing for your best friend right there. And you just kind of understand him a little better than most. And he did kind of speak to that a little bit. But otherwise, no, I mean, along the defensive line, he spoke a little more. He spoke highly of Trayvon Walker, actually, just, coming in this fall. Wasn't there in the spring, but.
I mean, I just, look, when you watch guys play, all you can do is go on what you see. And when I saw Trayvon play twice last year, now one time was better than the second. The first time was better for sure. But still, the way he can move, etc., he is definitely going to be a guy that people in the SEC are going to have to deal with. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of answers for someone that moves like he does. This is a guy who probably would have been a low-level Division I basketball player, and he's playing on the defensive line in the SEC. I mean, he, even for as good as the defensive linemen are in this league, that's really saying something for Trayvon Walker. I mean, Trayvon Walker's good now. Y'all, I mean, I'm not the only person saying it, I don't think. But you certainly didn't. I mean, I have been sold on him for some time. And then, I want to see Zamir play too. But I'm writing this piece right now, and I'm trying to wrap up the piece. But I do want to get your couple quick minutes on this one. Do you think that Jake Fromm can, and this is an overused term in our industry, do you think that he can will Georgia to the national championship? Like, will them to win?
Will them to win a game? I think he could. To win a national championship? I just know I don't. Just because of the style of play that he plays. It requires a lot of, the RPOs. I mean, that's a very kind of teamwork-oriented thing. Trevor Lawrence has that kind of talent to, I think, will your way to a national championship. Just because of how many different throws he can make. But Jake Fromm, go ahead.
Well, is talent. I think when people say will their way to win, that normally is a knock on someone's talent. But that's maybe another discussion for another time. I don't know how much willpower Trevor Lawrence had to have last year. I'm not aware of a time that Clemson was trailing in the second half of a game.
I mean,
that might be a different conversation.
I mean, when I say will your way to a victory, I mean, like, it is just the team is on their shoulders, and they are doing almost all of the work.
So Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's fair. Kyler Murray.
Well, what about the kid? Well, what about the quarterback from Texas last year? How much credit does he get for the Super Bowl win?
I mean, a little bit, just because of the way he runs the ball. I mean, I would say that at times is willing your way to victory because he just takes it, lowers his shoulder, and runs through people as a quarterback. I mean, I would say that is, willing your way to victory at times, at least.
I wonder. I mean, at the end of the day, the question is maybe will your way to the national title is not the best way to put it. Maybe the better question is how much difference can one person make in terms of winning it all and not winning it all? And I would argue one person can make a monumental difference. Now, the question is that person Jake Fromm?
I mean, especially at quarterback. If you look at it, if you have Jake Fromm in the equation, Georgia is a national title contender.
Right.
If you replace him with Stetson Bennett, I think they could do all right with Stetson Bennett. I think they could actually do pretty well.
They probably should still win the East, and if they wouldn't win the East, they'd probably be the number 2 team.
Yeah, completely. I would say they would win at least 10 games, I think. I would say they would win 10 games with Stetson Bennett. But I wouldn't say they're national title contenders. So I think, especially at quarterback,
but that again,
one player can make a huge difference.
But that gets back again to talent, right? In those two situations. I mean, because Jake Fromm is more gifted than Stetson Bennett, and Jake will play in the NFL. I don't think that Stetson will, but I can assure you they both grew up huge Georgia fans. But can Jake Fromm will Georgia to a national championship? That's the question that I'm going to try to answer here soon. Well, Dylan, thanks for. Go ahead. You got one last thing here?
No, but does he need to?
Well, that's another. Again, I'm saying maybe these are the wrong questions. Maybe I'm asking the wrong question. If everyone else is doing what they're supposed to do, that's when Georgia is the most trouble for everyone. But when you've got a run game that's solid, a defense that's solid, special teams, there's a lot of things that Georgia is going to be the best group on the field in the vast majority of the situations they're in. But even still, when you're down a touchdown in the Rose Bowl, can you go get the touchdown? And Jake Fromm proved that he could do that. He left the field with a lead against Alabama. I'm not saying he did all he could do in that game, but he left the field with a lead. So there's a lot that he has done right. He is one play away from being immortalized at Georgia. And I know a lot of this offseason, and I've just watched him during practice. A lot of Jake, he didn't put his helmet on the top of his head the same way that he does right now last year. He's watching and instructing, so to speak, I guess. He's definitely watching a lot. And dealing with him a little bit, he's telling guys, hey, look, this was right, this was wrong. And that's my question is, can someone will a team to victory? I don't know, but can one person make a big difference? I think they can. I've got an extremely important phone call that just popped in, Dylan. I have to let you go. But thank you for joining me on another edition of Riding Home. Dean Legge, Dylan Webber. Go visit dogpost.com right now, and thanks for listening.